One person in particular that's been here over 2 decades. You embody Hawks DNA, so it is only right that Zach Walsh gets to make the call into the league office to let them know who we're picking for the #1 overall pick.
Are you there? Okay, the Atlanta Hawks are going to take Zachary Risacher. Confirmed. Thank you. See you. Bye.
Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode, draft edition. The Hawks have made their pick. Zachary Risacher is the #1 overall draft pick for the Atlanta Hawks in this NBA draft. So I'm going to give you guys my reaction to the pick, what this means moving forward for the team. This probably won't be as long as my episodes usually are, but it's just more of a reactionary episode. Got a guest coming on tomorrow as well that you guys can look forward to give more further breakdown to this move and potential moves coming on for the Atlanta Hawks moving forward. But let's get ahead and get into Risacher. I mean, the general consensus I get from Hawks fans at the end of the day is there's not a lot of excitement around the pick. I'm just going to be completely blunt about that. Risacher was a guy, if you've watched my videos, I've kind of just been like, I'm okay with him. He's a 3-and-D guy. You need 3-and-D guys in this league. Wings are very, very valuable in this league. Shooting is very, very valuable in this league, and that's what Risacher is. I think a lot of people wanted Sarr. I think that was the consensus. Even with he lost some fans with the agent stuff and everything that went on, but I think a lot of people still would have rather had Sarr in this situation, but that did not happen. And then Klingon was also a guy who was also mentioned, and then also right before the draft, Woj was mentioned that Reed Shepard was also under strong consideration for that first pick as well for the Hawks. So I think a lot of fans are asking now, what now? What does this mean moving forward? One thing I want to point out is that I think Risacher is a guy who, I mean, he could shoot the ball, a guy who they said can defend 1 through 4, a guy obviously we know is 19, young, still developing, needs to put more weight on, things of that nature. There's some key things that he can bring to the Hawks that can help the team. I'm not going to sit here and make it seem like he can't help the team. I think through the discourse, when we talk about a player, we're very quick to just be like, oh, they suck, they're the worst thing ever. And it's like, well, in the grand scheme of things, he's not a bad player. I think a lot of people just struggled taking him with the first pick. I think that is the primary thing that a lot of people have struggled with this whole time taking Risacher is with the first pick. If they took him at like 5, 6, 7, you may be like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll take it. But I think that first pick was a tough pill for some Hawks fans to swallow. I saw the draft party videos on social. Seemed pretty deep out there. Heard Jeezy was going for a while at the concert or whatever. But overall, I mean, people are not excited. This fan base is not energized by this pick. And it also is the first piece now to a big offseason and potentially the first big domino to fall for the Hawks as they go now into free agency next week with a lot of questions about this team. They still have some big decisions to make in a couple of days on Sadiq Bey, Vic Krejci, Garrison Matthews, Wesley Matthews, Seth Lundy, guys of that nature. So I think that to me right now is one of the biggest things that we have to look at right now for this team when you're talking about, okay, how does Risacher impact this roster? Because like I said, I asked those questions. Okay, we drafted Risacher. How does that impact Bey? How does that impact Krejci? How does that impact, DeAndre Hunter? People think DeAndre Hunter trade becomes more imminent with this move. Does Clint Capella still get moved with them not taking a center? I think a lot of these questions are still there for Hawks fans to still try to figure out, okay, what's going on? What are we doing? What are we trying to do? What do we want to do? One thing I want to say to Hawks fans out there, especially to the Hawks fans who are not a fan of this move, give Risacher a chance. And what I mean by that is the problem we have sometimes with fans in this game is that we don't like a player. And so everything they do wrong, we just completely crap on them and just think they're the worst thing ever. And Risacher is young. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to have some struggles. He may be cold for a few games. He may go through the grind of what any rookie would go through. And I know certain people who did not like this pick are going to use that as an opportunity to completely crap on him and crap on the franchise. And listen, if you want to criticize Landry and things like that, fine. Landry does not get the benefit of the doubt with the moves he's made as GM, so I completely understand the questionableness with that. But Risacher is a guy who deserves a chance to at least show you that he can play at this league, and then we'll see what he ends up being. I mean, there's still some people who struggle to figure out what a good comp for him is. just because, like, I mean, we know he can be a good 3-and-D guy, but like, what does that mean? You know, I think I've said that on Twitter that I think that he can be a good. I think he can be a starter in this league. Uh, I don't know if he can be a high-end starter or just a average starter or what, but I think he's a starter in this game, and I think that's something that we're gonna have to figure out. You know, I want to point up a tweet real quick that my guy Glenn Willis tweeted out, and I really agree with this tweet because this is something that we don't think about when you go through the process of evaluating players and scouting players. He talked about how, you know, he was listening to Risacher because Risacher has talked. Landry Fields will talk at the time of this recording. He has not talked yet. He will talk at the end of the first round. I'll probably throw in a bite from what he says tonight in that show that I'm doing tomorrow as well. But he talked about how, you know, Quinn always talks about buy-in, connectivity, principles, and habit. And, you know, if you listen to Risacher's comments after he got drafted, he kind of mentioned he wants to do anything he can to win. He wants to do anything he can to be on the floor, help his team. He feels like that he models his game a little bit more after, you know, Klay Thompson and things of that nature, which if he ended up being Klay Thompson, that would be absolutely fantastic. But I don't, like I said, I don't know if a lot of people see that with him. Because I mean, when you're evaluating a player, obviously talent is one of the biggest things. But if you question a player's buy-in, if you question a player's habits, if you question a player's commitment, can you take him? Can you be happy taking him? I think with Sarr, even though a lot of that was agent driven, I think that may have been a question that Hawks could have had and said, we just don't know how committed he's going to be here. And if he's not going to be committed, are we really getting the best player who fits, I guess, Hawks DNA that they talk about a lot? I mean, I think that's a question that you have to ask yourself. You know, and so they probably felt like that he was the best guy who fit those traits. They said he had a good workout with the team. He did some good things they wanted to see. And so now we'll have to see how that translates. He'll obviously play in the summer league. That'll be the first look at Risacher that we'll have of him. And I'm sure a lot of Hawks fans will be interested in tuning in and seeing how he performs. Obviously, he'll be playing with Kobe. He'll be playing with Muhammad Gay. So we interested to see how those guys look with him. I still don't even know if Risacher is going to even start this year. I said there are so many moves that the Hawks have to make that we don't have answers on right now that I can't even say he'll be a starter. But I know some of you may hear that and think, well, if he's the number one pick, he has to start. And I think one thing we also have to point out with this draft is this draft just didn't have a lot. There just wasn't a great pick in this draft. Like I feel like if you were more in the middle of the lottery, like 5 and down, you felt like most of the picks you got were pretty much the value that you should have gotten them for. But there's just at that top of the draft, it just felt like there was no great pick. And I said this too. I think the Hawks liked a lot of the guys. I don't think they loved any of the guys. And I think that to me is a big symbolization of this draft class. You know, I think especially with the Hawks and their situation particularly, it made it more complex. You know, like, because, okay, you take Sarr, right? Okay, what does that mean? You know, like Sarr may not even see himself as a center. The Hawks may not see him as a center. He may not be a good center. And it's like, okay, well, if we do that and it doesn't work, then the Hawks still end up looking stupid in a couple of years. You know, so, and it's funny because I think it was Windhorse, or I could be wrong. It could have been Woj when they were talking about Risacher earlier today when I was watching ESPN. They mentioned that Risacher is considered one of the, and I haven't heard this word a lot, but it was interesting to hear him say it, one of the safest picks in the draft. And that was an interesting word to use about him. Safe. Like, what does that mean by safe? You know, like, but if that's truly how the Hawks felt, I think that's going to be how a lot of the fan base feels about the front office. The Hawks have made a lot of safe moves. They don't take any chances. They've just made moves that are safe. But then that's the problem because they haven't made a lot of moves. People question, are they able to? Are they able to be aggressive? Are they able to get a guy who can help the team and fix some of the holes this roster has? You know, and through the entire draft process, I mean, Risacher was mocked to us number 1, and you know, people have been saying that for a while that he was going to go 1. But it's so weird about this draft because even with that, I never felt like there was this strong momentum of Risacher until the last few days. Like I felt like you kept hearing it, but you heard Sarr and Klingen. That's what you heard, and then you heard some whispers of other people. And then the last couple of days, you just heard Risacher, 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 Risacher. You know, but you know, I think that's the tough situation the Hawks are in right now. And like I said, if you want to blame Landry Fields for putting us in this situation, that's completely fair. That's completely acceptable. You can blame him and do whatever you need to do. But I think when you think about players, clearly Quinn, Landry, and them felt like Sarr gives them the traits they want, fits Hawks DNA. They think they can do something with him. They think he can be a good player for them. And you know, I think that works out. I mean, obviously, you wish, you know, you can maybe make the argument, hey, Hawks got the first pick in the wrong year. You know, maybe that is something you can say about this in this entire class and what has happened, and et cetera. But overall, I just think that, you know, give Risacher a chance. We got to see what the Hawks do next, because I think that's going to be the biggest question is, okay, what is next? What is next for the team? What is this team going to do now moving forward after making the selection? A lot of people on the timeline tonight talking about trade, talking about, I understand if you want to request a trade, because, I mean, I think a lot of people are thinking, if I'm a star player and I tell my franchise I want to win and you draft Zachary Risacher, they feel like that's going to make you be like, okay, they're not serious about winning. You know, and so I think that to me is going to be the biggest issue. You know, and we're hearing today that DeJounte has more trade value than Trey. So it's like, just again, I will always say the biggest problem I have with this front office is they have not given us a clear direction on what they're trying to do, what this team is trying to be. They cover every base, but in doing that, they never give you a direct answer. They'll tell you they want to win. They'll tell you they want to, but they also tell you they want to build. And so it's like, are we rebuilding? Are we chasing a championship? Like, what is that? And I think that's why I think you've seen Trey be as aggressive as he's been this year with maybe some of the comments he's made. Just saying, like, listen, I want to win games. I want to compete. And so he, in a way, it's, you know, they always have to say that's your star kind of telling your front office, like, hey, like, you know, I'm glad we got some young players we're excited about, but like, we also got to remember, I don't want to hope that we're going to be good this year. I want to know we're going to be good next year. And so the front office has to show Trey whether that's the case, that they're trying to win, or they're going to show Trey that, you know what, we really want to stick to building. And if you do not like that, we will move off of you. And then, you know, we'll hear the rumors for the Pelicans, we'll hear the rumors for the Lakers, hear the rumors for the Spurs. You know, so those are all things that I think the Hawks are having to consider right now. Obviously, you guys give me what your thoughts are about the pick. I made a tweet that said 80% of Hawks fans aren't happy with the pick, and a lot of guys were under there. A lot of people were under there and said they didn't like the pick. Risacher is not energizing this franchise. I think this front office has done a terrible job of energizing this franchise. And I think that in and of itself has been one of the most frustrating things as being a Hawks fan. You know, even with me right now, like, I'm not frustrated. I'm just kind of like, okay, I just feel like meh. Like, you know, I'm just kind of like, all right, well, let's see what happens next. Like, I think, you know, this, like I said, this is the first domino to fall in the process. And now we get to see what leads to next. I mean, I've seen people think that the Hawks are going to run it back next year. I've seen people think that, you know, more big changes could be coming. Like I said, we've heard names mentioned in the trade circles. And, you know, we keep hearing the Hawks are torn between rebuilding and hitting that reset button and building the team up. I think, to me, it's just one of those things where, you know, you just want to try to make the best decision for your franchise moving forward. And I think a lot of Hawks fans probably just feel like, is this Billy Knight all over again? Marvin Williams, Sheldon Williams. I mean, you know, some of my older Hawks fans, you know, or fans that were at that time know and be like, well, what are we doing here? You know, and so, because I think a lot of people did think Sarr even though a lot of people had Risacher as the number one guy, a lot of people also felt like Sarr was the number one guy. And obviously, he's the guy who probably has one of the highest ceilings in this draft in terms of what he could become if it ends up working out. And Washington may have gotten themselves a guy that they obviously can build around for years to come. Because, if he works out, you can maybe say that's the case. But, right now, Risacher is on the team. I know Trey had a podcast yesterday. He said he's going to watch the draft. Don't know how he feels. We may hear more as the days go on leading into free agency about the Hawks' plans. I would expect to hear more in terms of draft fallout in figuring out what's next for them. As far as we know, the Hawks are done for the draft. I don't think they're going to make any more moves to get themselves back into the draft, especially at this point. Again, at the time of recording. But we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. So, listen, like I said, Risacher, there's some stuff you can like there. Versatile guy, can guard multiple positions. Versatility is always important. 3-and-D is also important. Shooting, Landry Fields mentioned, is a premium, and they wanted shooting. And so now we have to see what is the follow-up move to this. What is the follow-up move to them making this decision and trying to get this team on the right track moving forward with the draft. So that's pretty much my take on this draft. I know a lot of people left the draft party disappointed tonight. So yeah, we just got to see what happens, guys. I mean, that's kind of where we are right now. Like I said, I know this kind of sucks for a lot of people, but this is where we are. So we'll know more as the days come forward. And like I said, I'm gonna give Risacher a chance. I'm not gonna be that guy who's gonna sit here and crap on him and make him seem like he's the worst pick ever. I want him to be successful, because if you want him to fail, that means you want the Hawks to fail. And obviously, if this is a team that you truly love, then you don't want them to fail. You want Risacher, if you don't believe in him, to make you a believer. You want that. And so all we can hope is that Risacher is going to do that, and he's going to put in the work to try to get himself on the floor, help this team, and be someone who can work. We'll see what the team looks like around him when that time comes later in the year, late October, early November, and see what the roster looks like, and obviously for preseason and after free agency and everything of that nature. But that's kind of where we are right now in the process. So I appreciate you guys for tuning into this episode, quick reaction episode for Believe in Hawks on the pick of Zachary Risacher for the Atlanta Hawks. The Frenchman coming to Atlanta now will be a part of this team, and we'll figure out what other core players outside of maybe probably a Jalen Johnson will work. I think their games will work together, though, overall. So definitely appreciate you guys. Follow me on Twitter, Bryce_2K. Subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Audio, leave a review, leave a rating. Like I've mentioned before, got an interview coming. Brett Usher, if some of you guys may know him, heard him, seen him on social, is coming on to the show to talk about the Hawks draft pick of Risacher and the moves that are pending. And I also have something in the works to try to get a Pelicans person on the show as well to talk about the Pelicans and the Hawks connection as well. So we got some big things coming up for the Believe in Hawks podcast. So y'all need to subscribe, tune in, definitely check it out. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate the love and support. Also, like I said, we're 97 subscribers away from 1,000. So definitely subscribe. Appreciate you guys for the show. It's your boy, Bryce Lewis. We'll see you next time.